Rangder Kessel stands on a desolate wasteland. Before him is Perseides, the demon of destruction. "Who dares trespass on my sacred ground?" the demon roars. Unfazed, the lone figure holds up a simple stick, calmly declaring, "Oh me? I'm just a mage." But spoiler alert, guys, he wasn't just any mage. This was Rangder Kessel, the greatest mage in all of history. An explosion erupts as the demon takes a swipe at him, but the mage leaps back. Suddenly, trypophobia-inducing pods bubble up on the demon's back. One by one, they pop off and explode around the mage. But Rangder Kessel is unharmed. With a casual swing, he waves and the fumes fade away like smoke. Then, in a split second, Rangder Kessel appears over the demon's head and then utters an incantation. A halo of light forms in his hand and boom, smashes into the demon's head, sending it crashing. Demon looks utterly defeated. "Don't be too full of yourself," Rangder Kessel declares. "You're just leftover evil after God created life." Folks, I guess you're curious how it all came to this. Let's rewind a bit. To a lonely cottage on top of a cliff. His apprentice Mojan bursts in, broken and desperate, collapsing at his feet. Through sobs, she reveals Perseides destroyed her family, her home, half the land. She grabs his hand, demanding answers. "You received letters from kings asking for your help. Why did you do nothing?" Rangder Kessel's eyes remain blank, but a memory stirs. He remembers the day a grime-covered girl arrived at his cottage and begged to be his apprentice. He knew then she was his destiny, his soulmate. Rangder Kessel did not care about the human world. He had long ago cut ties with this greedy and rotten world. But for Mojan, his soulmate, he is willing to do anything. Now back to the battle. The fight isn't over yet. The defeated demon gurgles, dissolving into a disgusting bubbling goo. It writhes and squirms. The goo stretches, rips apart, shedding its monstrous old skin like a snake. A new form emerges. Rangder Kessel watches stoically. From the sludge emerges a new, powerfully built demon. He says, "Well, actually, I do need punks like you now and then. Because honestly, crushing weaklings all the time gets super boring." A spark of energy gathers in his clawed hand. "Let me play with you a little," he declares. The Demon King unleashes a massive wave of energy, zooming straight for our mage. Rangder Kessel barely turns in time. There's a fresh cut on his cheek. The demon taunts him, "Don't die too easily." The demon's eyes glow with pure malice. "I'm going to rip you apart," he promises, "and enjoy watching you squirm in pain." The mage replies calmly, "I was contemplating how to get rid of something that doesn't die." He looks up, eyes filled with new resolve. "Maybe rip you apart," he muses. "You know what? That's not a bad idea." 10 days pass. The fierce storm from their epic battle finally subsides. Mojan races across the wasteland, desperate to find her master. She pulls her mount to a halt, dismounts, and calls out for him. Then she spots him in the distance. Battered, bruised, she screams his name. Her eyes go wide with horror. Master Rangder Kessel has a gaping hole blown straight through his chest. She runs toward him without hesitation. Girl leaps into his arms, sobbing her heart out, completely distraught. "How could you just disappear like that?" she cries. "What was I even supposed to do?" The mage looks down at her, a sad expression on his face. Then he stumbles and collapses. Tries to reassure her, saying he's just tired. But she screams, "You are not fine." She blames herself, sobbing that it's all her fault. If only she'd gotten there sooner. He interrupts her, holding out several small stones. "Take these," he instructs. I tore Perseides to shreds and sealed his pieces in them. Stones, each glowing faint blue, hold the demon's head, torso, limbs, and tail. And the last one? Its heart. He gives her a final crucial command. "If I die, give them to the sages. Don't let evil ever get its hands on them." He warns her, the demon is immortal. It could reawaken at any moment. Overwhelmed, Mojan collapses. She lets out a gut-wrenching wail of pure despair. Her master gently wipes her tears. "Why are you making that face again?" he asks. "The demon is gone. You should be happy." He pulls her into one last tender hug, but she can only beg him, "Please, don't die." As he holds his weeping apprentice, the mage doesn't understand. Why was Mojan still sad? Didn't he just get rid of the demon for her? But it was all in vain. His hand goes limp. And so, eternal rest finally came upon the Grand Mage Rangder Kessel. Many, many years pass. His simple wand, planted as a memorial, had grown into a massive, magnificent tree. That land where he fought the demon, it became Mage's Island. And so much time passed that when a boy awoke there, he couldn't remember anything of what happened in his past life. Mojan stands before a kneeling man, with him addressing her as master. This dude is Hardin Salier, Mojan's familiar, and one of the rarest magical creatures in this world. Mojan is cradling a newborn baby, and he's begging her to ditch her crazy plan. Then, the mic drop. It is now 6 centuries after Rangder Kessel's death. Talk about a really long-term plan. She spills the tea. She spent 600 years grinding. She mastered healing and shot up the ranks to seraph status. Her one and only goal? To bring Rangder Kessel's soul back to the land of the living. Mojan flat out admits this was her life's singular mission. But Hardin's like, hold on for a sec, because her resurrection method was placing one of the demon stones in the baby. Yes, Perseidis' heart. Yikes. His warning is grim. If this kid can't contain the demon's power, it's game over. All the other seal stones, they'll wake up. Total catastrophe. Mojan places a hand on his shoulder. That's exactly why I'm giving this mission to you, she says. Then comes the desperate plea, please Hardin, raise this child for me. Hardin's so stunned. Suddenly, Mojan chants, I grant you freedom and free will. His magical collar glows like a Christmas tree, then breaks apart. The broken collar clinks to the ground. Hardin, the familiar, is finally free for the first time in, well, forever. Mojan lifts the swaddled baby, a bundle of potential chaos, and offers him to Hardin. He gently, almost reverently, takes the infant. As Mojan dips out, we finally get a glimpse of the baby. It's a pink-haired little bundle of cuteness. Hardin calls out that the baby looks just like him. As he cradles the tiny bundle, the man asks the million-dollar question, what is his name? Mojan glances back, a somber look on her face, but she offers no name, just silence. Under the full moon that night, Hardin, the familiar, now a single dad, rows away from the island in a tiny boat, baby in tow. No pressure. Once on land, he shifts. From human to hulking, wolf-like beast, carrying the baby safely in his massive jaws. He bolts through desolate lands, scaling cliffs by day, crashing in mountain caves by night. This dude is committed. Back in human form, he watches the child by the fire's glow. A new purpose, a new life. He gazes at the sleeping infant, a mix of duty and what have I gotten myself into, etched on his face. 2 weeks of relentless travel later, he finally hits his destination. Time to set up shop. He arrives at Limbo, a town tucked away in a forgotten corner of the continent, perfect for laying low. Surrounded by steep cliffs, this serene spot is ideal for anyone trying to disappear off the grid. Very picturesque too. Now Hardin, back in beast form, stalks through the reeds, eyeing his prey. But then, surprise, his hunt gets rudely interrupted. Shouts slices through the quiet, calling out his name. The startled deer perks up. So much for stealth. Suddenly, a young pink-haired boy bursts from the grass, pointing with wild excitement. There's our dinner, he yells. Hardin, beast form and all, is absolutely furious. Hey kid, what are you doing? I told you to be quiet. They're dinner bolts. Hardin yells, darn it, it hurt us. Yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. But frustration gives way to pure joy as they give chase. Wow, you're really fast, Hardin. The kid screams with delight. Later that night, dinner is fish. The boy pouts, clearly upset he didn't get his promised meat. He blames Hardin's hunting skills. Hardin snaps back immediately. It was your shouting that scared it off, you little rascal. The bickering escalates. Hardin, veins popping, declares the kid is the one who owes an apology. Hardin, adopting the tough love approach, ends the argument with a gentle or not so gentle smack to the head. Then, back to lessons. Hardin took his guardian gig seriously. He taught the boy everything, how to read, write, and totally dominate wilderness survival. And wouldn't you know it, over time, the boy becomes a pretty epic hunter himself, proudly showing off his latest kill. Hardin instilled respect for life and death, teaching him to pray over every animal they hunted. A little philosophy with your dinner. But for all his growing skills, the boy still gets spooky at night, too scared to sleep alone. Some things never change, huh? With a monumental sigh, Hardin agrees to stay. Just this once, kid, he grumbles. We all know how that goes. On those just this once nights, Hardin would spin tales of the great mage who saved the land. A bedtime story for the ages. Soon enough, the boy would be out like a light. Hardin, ever the softy, would quietly pull the blankets up. Pure dad vibes. Hardin started as a magical creature on a mission. But somewhere along the line, he became a parent, finding true happiness in the chaos. Seasons flew by, years piled up. And someone was clearly putting in work. We're talking serious grind here. Yeah, you guessed it, the child grew tall. Time skip, folks. Meet Rangi, now 17, taking a well-deserved breather from chopping wood in the snow. He eyes a massive log he just felled. This should last all winter, he thinks. But then a small oopsie moment. How do I even drag this monster back home? The eternal struggle. Suddenly, a rustling in the woods catches his ear. Uh-oh, what's cooking now? A gigantic, monstrous boar stomps out of the trees, growling. Meanwhile, back at the cozy cabin, Hardin is hacking up a lung. Not looking so good, old friend. He mutters, wondering why the firewood is taking an eternity. He turns mid-sentence and freezes. A visitor, a stern-looking dude in a fancy white cape, stranger just stares. Cold, intense, not the friendly neighbor type. Hardin's eyes go wide. Edvar? He whispers, pure disbelief in his voice. Looks like an old acquaintance or enemy is here. Edvar greets him by name, adding a little jab. You look a lot more human now, Hardin. Ouch. Hardin glares. What brings Mojan's apprentice all the way to my doorstep, he growls, skipping the pleasantries. Edvar turns, admitting he was just curious at first. But now that he's here, his suspicions are growing. Edvar, we believe you. He stares intently, deep in thought. What is Master hiding? He wonders why would she check on a worthless old magical creature so desperately, every single night. He glances inside the humble cabin, admitting his curiosity is piqued. He's definitely on a fishing expedition. Hardin scoffs. Hiding? That's an outrageous speculation, Edvar. Tries to sell the story that Mojin is just endlessly kind, worried about him even after freeing him. Nice try, buddy. I suppose she is needlessly caring, Edvar says, dripping with sarcasm. Pities an animal she personally freed, he adds, twisting the knife. Hardin breaks into a cold sweat. Busted. He knows he's been caught red-handed in a lie. Edvar's friendly act vanishes. However, he says, then bam, Hardin loses an arm in an instant. Wait, what just happened? Hardin lets out a blood-curdling scream. This is getting dark, fast. Grotesque red tendrils burst from Hardin. Edvar, cool as ice, says, unfortunately, I'm not as magnanimous. He continues, especially to animals like you that lie. Ouch. Talk about adding insult to injury. The tendrils swell into a giant fleshy hand, wrapping around Hardin and squeezing him tighter than a vice. Hardin trapped, Edvar demands, where did you hide the realm? Hardin gasps, barely able to speak. Why are you looking for the heart of the demon Perseidus? He chokes out. Edvar reveals that for 17 years, ever since Hardin vanished, he couldn't find a trace of the demon's heart. Now it all makes sense. He's certain Hardin's vanishing act is totally linked to the missing demon heart. He leans in, pressing hard. Can you swear on your life that it is mere speculation? What a sick game, my friend. Edvar squeezes even harder. Hardin screams, pure agony ripping from his throat. This is rough. Suddenly a shout echoes through the snowy mountains. Hardin! Hardin, panting and bleeding, forces out a single, desperate name. Rangha. Edvar turns his head, intrigued. Who dares interrupt his torture session? And there he is, Rangi, standing in the distance, ready for action. Who are you? He demands, no fear in his eyes. With the massive boar casually slung over his shoulder, Rangi issues a simple, firm command. Put him down. Let's pause for a sec, folks. This chapter ends with an unfurled scroll of a new family in modern times. Wonder if this is the author? Back outside Hardin's hut, the three are in an intense face-off. Edvar's golden eyes narrow, scrutinizing the pink-haired kid who just crashed his party. Rangi stares right back, a grim and unwavering challenge in his gaze. A slight curve plays on Edvar's mouth. So it's you, he utters, recognizing the secret his master hid. Rangi's grip tightens on his axe. He's ready for round two. Ignoring the mage entirely, Rangi unleashes a furious scream. I said to let him go. Edvar ponders why his master would hide the powerful demon's heart inside this seemingly worthless child. He drops the massive boar carcass with a thud, his full attention now on the new threat. It may be better to see for myself, Edvar decides, raising a hand that crackles with dark energy. With a simple chant, monstrous, fleshy tendrils erupt from the ground. Rangi's eyes widen, but he doesn't flinch as the grotesque mass of tentacles looms over him. Hardin, still caught in the monstrous grip, screams with his last strength, Rangi, run! But Rangi doesn't run. He just mutters a single, powerful word, disappear. With a blur of motion, he swings his simple woodsman's axe. The axe cleaves through the magical tendrils as if they were smoke, severing them instantly. Edvar looks on, slightly surprised. He definitely didn't expect that move. Before Edvar can react, Rangi closes the distance, dashing straight towards him. Are you a mage? Edvar asks, genuinely curious about the boy's power. Rangi's eyes are glowing gold now, blazing with fury. I said to disappear. He unleashes a massive wave of raw power that slices Edvar's body in half. The blast sends Edvar flying backwards, carving a trench in the snow-covered ground. Meanwhile, the scene shifts far away to Mage's Island, Mobiante. Inside a towering structure, a lone figure watches from a high window. It's Edvar, now wearing round, blue-tinted glasses. Crack suddenly appears on one of the lenses. He calmly removes the broken spectacles. Looking at his hand, he remembers the boy. Rangi, was it? A thin black gash marks his palm. Clenches his fist, a knowing expression forming on his face. Interesting. Meanwhile, a feathered messenger with long tail feathers soars through the sky towards the mage's tower. It flies into a grand hall where Mojin and two others are waiting. As it lands, the creature transforms into a winged humanoid figure. The messenger, Ru, greets her leader. Greetings, merciful seraph, she says. Mojin, standing between two of her magic agents, gets straight to the point. Ro, what brings you here? Ro explains she has a letter from Emperor Gaff of Tutalican, inviting Mojin to the upcoming coronation. Mojin is immediately suspicious. Tutalican? Weren't they at war for the past 30 years? She questions why they're inviting her now after refusing all attempts at arbitration. She turns away from the scroll, already knowing the answer. It's obvious what they're after. Magic agent Guan Mercure chimes in, suggesting the emperor wants her support amid succession conflicts. Mojin listens silently, processing the blatant political maneuvering. The other agent, Lasia Gaspar, scoffs at the emperor's greed, questioning his need for mage's power. Mojin speaks. It is the law of mages to not get involved in wars or conflicts between nations. Stating they must adhere to that law, she clenches her fist, and the invitation crumbles into dust. Ro bows deeply. I shall obey. Just then, a door creaks open and a voice offers, "What if I attend in your stead?" Mojin's eyes dart to the side. Edvar? The #1 magician, Kurth Edvar, argues that because Tutalican has always supported mages, they shouldn't just cut ties. Guan Mercure disagrees, saying they can't send him. Apparently, the top mage's absence would leave Mobiante vulnerable. Edvar dismisses their concerns, telling them not to be so modest about their own abilities. Mojin cuts in. It is not that simple, Edvar. He assures her he has no intention of violating the law of mages or defying her will. He gestures to a map, pointing out Tutalican guards one of the seal stones containing demon Perseidis' head, Acheron. He argues they must follow the kingdom's politics closely to prevent a disaster that could awaken the sealed demon. Bro is cooking up a plan. Mojin catches on. You want to create an excuse to protect the seal stone from up close? You wouldn't trust me, Edvar says, bowing his head and placing a fist over his heart. I will not do anything that may bring disgrace upon mages. Back in the quiet woods of Limbo, Hardin clutches his bandaged chest, reeling from the fight. That is absurd, he thinks. Black magic in the flesh. Was Edvar's magic always this powerful? He sighs, wondering if he's just gotten too old to sense such things anymore. A small voice breaks the silence. Hardin? Are you still mad? Hardin looks at him incredulously. Kid, why do you think I'm mad? Rangi looks guiltily. Well, you haven't said a word since morning. And, he adds, scratching his hand, you told me to never use it. That thing you call magic. Rangi tries to explain himself, saying he just lost control. He was so angry that Jerk tried to kill Hardin, but Hardin just scoffs, saying he's fine without an arm, much to Ranghe's shock. Then Hardin points to the real problem. In his rage, Ranghe completely destroyed their home of 17 years. He warns Ranghe that having powers you can't handle is dangerous. Next time, he might kill someone instead of just wrecking a house. Ranghe looks away, muttering that he's sick of hearing the same old lecture. But Hardin softens his tone, telling him that power can also be used to protect the people you care about, just like he did today. That tone shift was smoother than a Spotify transition. Ranghe is speechless, looking up at his father, surprised by the sudden praise. Hardin looks him in the eyes and genuinely thanks him for caring. Overcome with emotion, Ranghe rushes in for a hug, admitting he can't even imagine losing him. Hardin gently pats his son's head. His expression hardens, a grim look in his eye. Something is definitely up. Ranghe wants to ask about the man who attacked them, but he just can't bring himself to say it. Hardin breaks the silence, telling him to pack their things. They have to leave before nightfall. Destination? Mobiante. They have to tell someone named Mojan what happened, but Hardin has a bad feeling about it. Ranghe's head whips around. He knows that name. Mojan, the Grand Mage's apprentice from Mage's Island? Hardin confirms it, dropping a bombshell. She is the reason you and I exist in this world. Ranghe's heart pounds in his chest. With a shaky breath, he asks the question he's always wondered. Is she my mother? The question makes Hardin flinch, and for the first time in his life, folks, Ranghe feels a deep anxiety about who and what he really is. Talk about an identity crisis, Hardin finally answers. No, not really, but she misses and loves you. Quietly adds a probably under his breath, knowing the tragic future that awaits the boy. Ranghe looks up, his mind reeling from the impossible revelation. What does this even mean? There it is again, folks, another scroll. It's the baby's first birthday. Cute. Okay, time for a Ranghe flashback. Our boy's powers first showed up not long after his 8th birthday. One day, a young Ranghe frantically calls for Hardin, who's inside folding laundry. Clueless. Annoyed, Hardin grumbles about bath time. But the second he pulls back that curtain, he freezes, totally speechless. Why? A gleeful Ranghe is literally floating. He's suspended inside a massive magical water sphere, absolutely loving life. Next thing you know, a loud slap. Hardin smacks him on the legs, yelling to never play around like that again. Yikes, Ranghe got the scolding of his life that day. Left to cry as Hardin lectured him for what felt like hours. Hardin was terrified. This magical power, totally untaught, might awaken something far more dangerous inside Ranghe. That's a bad omen, but of course the kid had no clue. Just like most protagonists. Even after the scolding, Ranghe kept seeing strange glowing energies everywhere. The magic was calling him. He manages to catch one in his hands, but just as he does, poof, it vanishes. leaving him utterly confused. As expected, Hardin in beast form catches him red-handed. "Are you summoning spirits and playing behind my back again?" Fast forward to the present. Rangi and Hardin are camped out for the night, feeling the weight of their long journey. Lying awake, Rangi drops a bombshell. "I think I'll become a mage." Talk about a career change. Hardin, bandaged and exhausted, just grumbles back. "Random much? Go back to sleep." But Rangi has his reasons. First off, "I'm too big to ride on your back now, dude." Hardin snaps back. "When did I say I'd let you ride me?" Rangi sits up, resolve clear. "You said Mage Mojan is good at healing. I'll learn it and heal your arm." Hardin thinks about his little secret. "Actually, you're the one who taught her healing magic." Rangi says, "You just scoffed at me." But Hardin insists he's no dream crusher. He rolls over, muttering, "I just don't want to be a burden on my child, that's all." Classic dad move. Mood shifts. Rangi quietly replies, "But you're not my father." Ouch, that's a gut punch. Those words hit Hardin hard. The silence between them becomes deafening. Big feels right here, folks. Hardin rustles in his sleep sack. "You're right, my bad." Rangi quickly clarifies he didn't mean it badly. He adds, "I think you're closer than a father." Hardin just grumbles and tells him to go to sleep already. After a beat of silence, Rangi settles back in. His mind is made up. "Anyway, I'm gonna become a mage." Sometime later, they're trudging through a scorching desert canyon. Rangi is already over it. "No, this is ridiculous." Hardin notes the region isn't usually this hot, but Rangi has bigger problems. "That's not it. We've starved for 4 days." Rangi said, "Forget the heat. I need food." He's desperate for meat, fruit, anything. They found nothing. "How much longer do we have to walk?" Hardin tells him to stop grumbling. "Village is just a little farther." Rangi shoots back, "You've been saying that for 2 days." But this time, Hardin was actually right. After a half day of walking, and boom, a village in the distance. As they approach the desolate village, Verita, Rangi's excitement fades. This place feels anything but hopeful. They trudge through dusty streets, looking completely out of place among the locals. Tourists in a bad neighborhood. Suddenly, Rangi spots strange, flame-shaped fruit at a market stall. He picks one up, intrigued. A vendor tells them it's rare, delicious local fruit, 4 stars each. Rangi, who's never used money, has zero clue what stars are. Realizing they're broke, the vendor's attitude sours instantly. "No money? Get lost. Worthless bums." Harsh much? They quickly learn this place hates the poor. Hardin worries. They need money to reach Mobiante. Big problem, but he has absolutely nothing of value to sell. Talk about a pickle. Just then, they stop. In front of them, a general store with a sign of crossed swords and a shield. A smarmy shopkeeper with a monocle greets them. "Welcome to Port's General Store," he says, but his smile vanishes when he sees their ragged clothes. "No peddlers, please. We sell, not buy," he sniffs. Hardin explains they're desperate. He asks him to just look. Port recognizes it, a rare, familiar taming green magic stone. But its power is spent, he says, so it won't fetch much. Hardin pleads it's priceless to him. Port's final offer, 800 stars, not a single star more. Rangi, thinking 800 stars is cheap, spots a purse. He grabs it right off the wall and starts rummaging. Hardin tries to beg for more, but Port isn't budging. Then he spots exactly what Rangi is doing. "Hey you, what are you doing? Don't touch that." Hardin turns to see Rangi holding a satchel. "Hardin, look. Small outside, huge inside. I want this." The shopkeeper is livid. "Not a chance. That's the only magic satchel by Melon Bellatorio. It's priceless." Rangi's never heard of him. The shopkeeper is stunned. "You don't know Melon? Almost as famous as Rangder Kessel?" He explains Melon made the satchel for the great mage Rangder Kessel. It's the only one left in the entire world. Rangi is impressed. "Wow, that's so cool. May I have it? I'm a mage too." The shopkeeper is utterly speechless. "Let's finish up our transaction," Hardin says smoothly. He then scolds Rangi for touching things and makes him put the satchel back. No argument. Deal is done. The shopkeeper gives him the money, even tossing in an extra 30 stars. Not bad. As they leave, Rangi is still pouting. He clearly wanted that magic satchel. Can't blame him. Hardin says the money is good for a room and food, but as they reach the door, the shopkeeper calls out, "Hey, wait." Hardin turns back, a questioning look on his face. "What now?" The shopkeeper leans forward with a proposition. "If you're a mage, why not make real money instead of chump change?" He slides a poster across the counter. It's a bounty notice for a Gugon, a monster nested right on the village mountain. Hardin eyes the bounty poster. "A Gugon?" he asks. Uh-oh, he knows it. Its body heat turned the village into a desert. Every expedition failed. So, the bounty for its head? A cool 1 million stars. Rangi's eyes practically turn into star symbols. 1 million? Ka-ching? But Hardin's not interested. He pushes the poster back. "We have no time," he says. "It's a long journey ahead. Bro just wants an inn." Later, Hardin has a feast of meat ready. "Rangi, come out and eat," he calls. But the room is silent. Rangi is gone. Oh no! Wondering if the kid fell asleep bathing, Harding grabs the handle. He slides the door open. The bath is empty. A sinking feeling washes over Hardin. Don't tell me. Sure enough, Rangi is scaling the massive sheer cliff face under the stars, complaining the rocks are scorching hot, of course. Panting, he remarks on the mountain's height. Nearing the peak, the rocks are burning his hands. He signed up for climbing, not grilling. He finally pulls himself over the ledge, grunting. Ouch. Hot. How is a mountain this hot? He senses the heat source is past tangled vines. Tiptoeing forward, he peeks through. Found it! Wow, it's huge. The Gyugon is massive, curled up, and sound asleep. Perfect target. He pulls an arrow, thinking this is his ticket to that magic satchel. But just as he takes aim, he gasps. A voice from above mocks him. Are you stupid? Arrows won't even pierce its skin. Rangi looks around, confused. Someone there? A green-skinned horned girl appears, lounging comfortably on a vine. Yes, there is, a mage who got here before you. She opens her eyes and smiles faintly. I'm sorry, but will you wait your turn? Oh, competition. Okay, another random scroll of the cute little family. This is relevant, I promise. Rangi stands under the starry sky, utterly bewildered. He was alone moments ago, yet this mysterious girl is suddenly right behind him. She just casually asks if he's never seen an invisibility cloak, calling it a mage's essential gear. Rangi is still clueless. Then, in a puff of smoke, she vanishes again. Rangi whips his head around, totally flabbergasted. Whoa! She disappeared again? Suddenly she's back, but as a tiny buzzing bee creature, and she's not done with him. Aren't you a mage too? She buzzes, asking if he's just some rando after a quick buck. Rangi, completely bugging out, starts flailing wildly to swat the tiny thing away. Another puff of smoke, and she's back to normal, telling him to chill. Just basic transformation magic, she claims. She introduces herself as Mochart Karan, a self-proclaimed specialist in transformations from Aruga. Rangi is absolutely blown away. Are you really a mage? That's so cool. Not Rangi fanboying mid-crisis. Mochart quickly shushes him, clamping a hand over his mouth and warning him not to wake the Gyugon. They peer over the rocks at the massive, still-sleeping beast below. Mochart lets out a sigh of relief. Good, it's out cold. He proudly takes credit, explaining she fed it a special sleeping plant she personally bred for this very moment. Mochart drops some lore, explaining the Gyugon is a descendant of an ancient gargoyle that guarded a demon's castle. It's one of the fiercest, toughest creatures out there. Oh, and it breathes fire. Rangi is genuinely stunned. You know so much. Mochart just calls him an idiot for trying to hunt it without knowing a single thing. Ignoring her, Rangi pulls an arrow, insisting he can't let her have this bird because he needs to capture it for something important. She taps her fingers on a rock, utterly unimpressed. You are impossible, she scoffs. If it was that easy, why the huge reward? She hops up, correcting him again. Also, it is definitely not a bird. Mochart tells him to just stay put and watch. She's about to put on a show. This girl's about to cook, and he's the audience. Rangi is already wide-eyed with awe, and she hasn't even started. Mochart stretches confidently. I haven't done anything yet, she says. Why are you marveling already? Then Rangi's face drains of color. It's awake, he whispers. Mochart glances back, utterly confused. What? Her confidence shatters as she comes face to face with a massive blood-red reptilian eye. Her eyes turn ghost white, her mind going completely blank with pure terror. The gargantuan Gyugon slowly rises, its monstrous form absolutely dwarfing the terrified little mage. Before we see how that plays out, let's rewind 2 hours earlier, to the desert village of Varita. Inside a quiet inn, someone is sleeping really well. A muscular, gray-skinned man is snoring away, utterly oblivious to the danger. Suddenly, his eyes snap open. There's a weapon pointed near his eye. Without a hint of fear, he lazily asks, Hey you, do you even know whom you awoke? He's surrounded by assassins. They know exactly who he is. Jose, the hitman. They're baffled he's sleeping so soundly while being hunted. Jose just lets out a massive yawn, completely unfazed by the death threats. He tells them to get lost, casually grabbing a bottle. I've sensed you a while ago already, he says. He pours a drink, boasting, if I want, I can chop off all your heads faster than I fill this cup. The assassins are furious at his sheer arrogance. Jose gives them a cold, deadly glare, but before things escalate, a woman's voice cuts through the tension, ordering everyone to stop. The assassins recognize her as Lady Mia. Mia steps forward, telling her men to back off. You can't handle him, she states flatly. Her subordinates reluctantly step aside as she walks past them, intimidated. Jose sips his drink, a slight smile playing on his lips. Finally, someone who knows something, he says. Mia apologizes for her men and gets straight to the point. She's here to offer him a job. She says she's heard he'll do anything for money and asks him to accompany her somewhere. Jose gives her a long, hard look. Before lunging forward with insane speed, he grabs Mia by the chin, forcing her to the ground as her men draw their swords in panic. He leans in close. What a plucky girl. I like you. His scarred arm flexes as he confirms the rumors. He'll take any job if the price is right, especially if the client is a beauty like you. He licks his lips menacingly. So, whom should I kill? Later, at a grand estate carved into a cliffside, Jose finally learns his target. He raises an eyebrow in disbelief. A Gyugon? His client confirms it, the one and only nuisance plaguing Verita. Jose can't believe it. He breaks into hysterical laughter. The Count of Verita came to see me late at night, just to kill one lousy creature? The client, Count Shiako, assures him it should be an easy feat for someone of his skill. The Count makes his offer. The reward for the Gyugon's head, a prestigious title of Silver Knight. The Count points out that becoming a Silver Knight is a great offer, especially since Jose is on the run from Bato. Jose nods, agreeing the Count is as generous as they say. But I do not need the title, he says coolly. He makes a counter offer, double the reward, and give him Mia. Then he'll do it. Mia is absolutely shocked and appalled by the demand. Without a moment's hesitation, the Count simply says, fine. Mia protests as the Count clarifies she's his aide, not a servant. But if Jose wants her that badly, she's his. Jose seals the deal with a confident grin, promising to bring back the Gyugon's head before sunrise. He leaves, and the heavy doors slam shut behind him. Throne room falls into a tense, heavy silence. Back in the throne room, Mia is furious with the Count. That's absurd, she protests. How could you make an offer like that to a barbarian? The Count tries to calm her down. Don't worry, I have no intention of actually giving you to him, he says. Just relieve the tense negotiation is over. That's not what she means. She points out there are plenty of other hunters. Jose, on the other hand, is a wanted fugitive who murdered a marshal. The Count's expression darkens. He reveals the real reason for his desperation. A powerful figure known as Bato is on his way. Mia is stunned. Pardon? The King of the Woods is coming here? The Count explains he received a secret letter ordering him to detain Jose, but his village simply doesn't have the military strength to do it. He sighs, remarking how convenient it is that the Gyugon, that annoying village nuisance, suddenly became so useful. Mia concedes that with Jose's skills, he might actually succeed in killing the beast. The Count leans back, a cunning look on his face. I don't care either way. It would be a great gain for me if either of them dies. He figures the death of either the monster or the fugitive will bring enormous wealth to his village. For him, it's a total win-win. Alright, let's jump back to the mountain where Moshart is absolutely terrified, her hand trembling as she tries to psych herself up. Stay calm. Don't panic. Maintain eye contact, she mutters, sweating bullets. She knows if she shows fear, the Gyugon will recognize her as prey and incinerate her on the spot. But her courage fails, her feet hesitate, and she trips, falling hard on her back. Tears in her eyes, she desperately screams, "So will you please help me?" Peeking over a rock, Rangi casually asks, "Huh? Were you talking to me?" Moshart frantically yells back, "Yes. Don't just watch me. Help." Rangi just scratches his head, totally confused. "But you said earlier to just watch." As the Gyugon sniffs her, she screams, "That was when it was asleep. I'll die. It'll eat me." The beast's colossal mouth opens wide, ready to swallow her whole. That mouth open like it's lunchtime? In a flash, Rangi clenches his fist and leaps into action, delivering a brutal punch right to the Gyugon's jaw. Moshart can only stare in stunned silence as the massive creature reels back from that powerful blow. Rangi lands, his expression now deadly serious. That face said playtime is officially done. But hold up. Random scroll coming through, and it looks like the perfect family evening. Meanwhile, back in Verita, Hardin is losing his mind, sprinting through the streets like a madman. He's basically having a full-blown crisis, regretting getting too comfy in his dad era and leaving Rangi unsupervised. Dude's just praying the kid can keep a low profile. Good luck with that, my friend. Hardin finally skids to a halt at the town's edge, gasping for air, eyes locked on the stone mountain. Rangi's definitely up there. Then, a shout rips through the night behind him. He whips around, totally caught off guard. Well, isn't this just peachy? It's the general store owner, and he's brought his personal fan club, a squad of armed guards. Shopkeeper dude is absolutely spitting mad, screaming about Hardin's betrayal after all his pity. He actually grabs Hardin by the collar, accusing him of jacking Bellatorio's relic. Hardin is genuinely clueless, trying to explain this is all some huge misunderstanding. Nope, guards aren't buying it. Swords drawn, they give him a simple choice. Come quietly or lose his head. Hardin just lets out a tired sigh. Clearly his day just went from bad to worse. But suddenly, a huge crash erupts. Everyone freezes. Hardin already knows exactly who's behind that noise. Back on the mountain, Rangi delivers a massive slam right onto the Gyugon's back, kicking up a colossal dust cloud. He then bolts away from the stunned monster, sliding to a perfect dramatic stop. Rangi yells, "Got it." Moshart, though, is just staring, utterly baffled. She can barely stutter out a question. "What in the world did you just do?" Rangi just gives her a cheeky grin. "Magic. I'm a mage too, you know." "Yeah, about that got it part." The Gyugon starts to stir, shaking itself off and slowly rising back to its feet. Rangi is absolutely floored it wasn't knocked out. while Moshart starts a full-on freakout. She's never seen anyone punch with magic before, but then Ranghei's eyes suddenly widen. The Gyugon unleashes a torrent of fire. Ranghei screams and tackles Moshart, slamming them both to the ground just in the nick of time. Moshart immediately starts yelling at him for his rough tackle, complaining about her face. But then she spots the scorched earth behind them, realizing she was this close to being Gyugon barbecue. No time for complaints though. Ranghei's already back on the offensive, hopping right back onto the Gyugon's neck. He pulls back his bow, firing a special arrow, but the Gyugon is too fast, deflecting it with a powerful tail swipe. He lands, totally frustrated, muttering about losing his shot. He looks up and boom, the monster is already on him, claws extended. He barely dodges a massive stomp that absolutely cracks the ground. Before he can recover, its tail whips around, slamming him to the ground. Bro, this thing is just way too fast. Just as it's about to finish him, Moshart leaps onto his shoulders. Talk about a clutch play. With a puff of smoke, she uses her transformation magic, turning into a giant fluffy escape ball that bounces them away to safety. They bounce right into a crater, landing hard. Both are sprawled on the ground, dizzy. Ranghei, ever the optimist, is just thankful for the lucky crater landing. Moshart, however, is still loudly moaning about her face hitting the ground again. He tries to get her attention, but she just shushes him, insisting they wait for the coast to clear. But then Ranghei spots something incredible. 3 massive eggs. Moshart sees them and instantly recognizes what they are. Bro said boss fight and got Easter eggs instead. Ranghei reaches out to touch an egg, sending Moshart into a full panic. But for Ranghei, it all just clicks. Outside, the Gyugon lets out a furious roar, blasting the entire area with another devastating wave of fire. The explosion absolutely rocks their hiding spot. The beast roars again. Ranghei gets to his feet. Moshart tries to stop him, but he completely ignores her pleas to stay put. Ranghei says they should call off the hunt, saying the Gyugon isn't evil. The boy explains it was just a mother protecting her eggs all along. Classic trope. Then, in a move that completely floors Moshart, he picks up one of the giant eggs and yells for the Gyugon to come get him. Is this boy on a suicide mission? And it works. The monster turns its glowing red eyes and flies right toward them. Massive Gyugon lands with a heavy thud, kicking up dust as it towers over Ranghei, its terrifying red eyes fixed on the egg he's holding. But instead of fighting, Ranghei actually tries to reason with it. I won't touch your eggs, so don't worry, he says, gently placing it back down. He admits he just wanted the magic satchel, but now he's asking it to leave once its babies hatch, because its intense heat is hurting the village. Moshart, now a fly, just cannot believe what she's seeing. Hey, you fool, she thinks. Do you actually think it understands you? The Gyugon lets out a massive roar, but then surprisingly seems to calm down, panting as it looks at the boy. Ranghei sees his chance and offers a sincere apology. I'm really sorry for hitting you before. I mean it. For a brief moment, it actually looks like he got through to the creature. Peace achieved, right? But in a flash, something whips through the air with a sickening, brutal slice. Ranghei's eyes widen in absolute horror as the Gyugon's massive head is severed clean from its neck. He can only watch, utterly stunned, as the decapitated head crashes heavily to the ground. He turns, and through the rocky terrain, he sees footsteps approaching. It's the hitman, Jose. What's this? He grunts. Someone got here before me. But as he casually lifts his massive, blood-drenched sword, it's painfully clear who the killer is. Jose stares Ranghei down, a cold question in his voice. Who are you? The way he asked, you know he's not asking twice. But in the scroll, everything's perfect. A happy day at the zoo. Back to Ranghei, he can only stare, dumbfounded, as the hitman stands casually over the Gyugon's corpse. Jose takes a step forward, a superior glint in his eye. What's the big deal, kid? You snooze, you lose. Should have been faster. He then launches into a lecture, all about the law of the jungle. Basically, if you're slow or weak, you deserve to lose. Bro really said survival of the fittest, but make it personal. Jose scoffs, calling the villagers pathetic for struggling months against this thing. Real empathic guy, this Jose. He even stomps on the Gyugon's severed head, grumbling that it's way bigger than he thought. What a pain, he whines, to carry this down the mountain. Then comes the audacity. He orders Ranghei to carry the massive head down for him, offering a measly 50,000 stars. Like, seriously, bro? But Ranghei doesn't even respond. Instead, he quietly lifts his hands, closing his eyes in silent prayer. Jose is obviously confused, but Ranghei calmly explains his belief. If you take a life, you must sincerely apologize and pray for its soul. What a contrast, right? Jay just stares, then points his blood-soaked sword at Ranghei. Quit babbling, kid, he snarls. This isn't an offer, I'm saving your life, get it? Ranghei is completely unfazed. Still, he states, pointing to the massive eggs nearby, you shouldn't have killed her. You just killed the mother of these unborn babies. Jose glances at the eggs, a cruel glint flashing in his eyes. Oh, he says, a twisted smile forming. Do you mean these? He then raises his massive blade. The annoying creature's babies? Nah. I'll just make sure they're never born. With a sickening thwack, he brings the sword down, shattering the first egg. Rangi watches, absolutely horrified. He swings again, musing about how misfortune can sometimes lead to better results. Bro is seriously messed up. Declares these unborn creatures would only be nuisances anyway, so it's better they die now. Just peak villain behavior. But this time, his swing is stopped dead. Ranghe's small hand has somehow caught the flat of the blade. Our boy glares up at him, his voice dropping to an icy whisper. You are a very bad person. Meanwhile, back in Varita, the sky rumbles ominously and rain begins to fall. Hardin stands over a pile of unconscious guards, scratching his head. Oh dear, he says sheepishly. I'm sorry for hitting you. Didn't mean to. Back on the mountain, Jose is absolutely stunned. He grabbed it, he gasps. The friar's legendary sword that cuts shadows with his bare hand? Ranghe calls out, Moshart, are you there? In a puff of smoke, she reappears, landing right on top of the last surviving egg. She sighs, already sweating nervously. I have a very, very bad feeling about this whole situation, she mutters. We feel you, Moshart. Jose demands to know who she is, but they just ignore him. Ranghe tells Moshart to look after the eggs. Ranghe clenches his fist, his eyes flaring a dangerous gold. And you, he tells the hitman, his voice low and menacing. You need to be taught a serious lesson. Before Jose can even react, Ranghe slams a fist straight into his stomach, sending the much larger man flying across the rocky terrain with a massive crash. Jose coughs, painfully pushing himself up from the rubble. You're not an ordinary human, are you? He rasps, finally getting it. Ranghe is already a blur, closing the distance between them in an instant. Jose scrambles to his feet, a grim look hardening his face. Sorry, kid, but neither am I, he snarls. I'm not exactly ordinary either. He flexes his muscles, whips his sword from the ground, and dashes forward, ready to meet the attack head-on. As they clash, the hitman suddenly realizes he's been totally played by Count Chiako. Hiring him for just one creature always felt suspicious. He's absolutely furious that the Count would use a kid like Ranghe just to keep him occupied. How dare he underestimate me like this, he roars. The two trade powerful blows, their insane speed literally shaking the ground. Jose roars, don't underestimate me. I survived Bato's woods, kid. With a maddened grin, he screams at the top of his lungs, I will pulverize you. He swings his massive sword, but Ranghe is just gone. Jose is utterly bewildered. Suddenly, Ranghe reappears and lands another brutal punch, sending the hitman flying back again. The rumbling from their epic battle even reaches Count Chiako's palace. He grunts in his sleep. Annoying bastard, he mutters. Must he be so loud? Suddenly, a flash of light reveals Lady Mia standing right in his bedroom. The Count sits up, startled. Mia? He stutters. What are you doing here at this hour? Mia's expression is dark. I think things are taking a bad turn, she states. Wouldn't it be better to be sure, just in case? Her eyes are glowing an ominous red. Back on the mountain, the fight rages on. Jose, now bleeding and battered, struggles to block Ranghe's relentless barrage of punches with his sword. Jose just laughs, still completely underestimating the kid. He's absolutely positive his unbreakable magical sword can't be broken. Oh, sweet summer child. But Ranghe has other ideas. With a single chilling word, he issues a command. Break. And with one punch, the unbreakable sword cracks and shatters into a million tiny pieces. Jose is left absolutely speechless. How do you like them apples, bro? But Ranghe isn't finished, not even close. Destroy and smack down, he commands, his voice resonating with power. He grabs Jose by the throat and slams him into the ground with bone-shattering, earth-shaking force. That impact definitely shifted the local geography. The impact creates a massive crater, shaking the very earth beneath them. Seriously, that was a heavy hit. Jose can barely even groan, completely wrecked and defeated from that devastating attack. He's toast. Standing over him, Ranghe's fist glows with deadly energy as he utters a final, chilling command. Die and cease to exist. But just as he's about to strike, a hand suddenly grabs his wrist and a voice shouts, Enough! The interruption snaps Ranghe out of his blind rage and he looks up, confusion replacing the fury in his eyes. It's Hardin looking down at Ranghe. He tells him he's done enough, stopping him before he goes too far. In the scroll, the little girl's growing up fast. It's her first bike ride, people. Meanwhile, far from Hardin's peacemaking, the sounds of steel ring out from Tutelekin's Pigelt castle. Inside, a fiery young woman spars intensely, fuming about her father summoning mages to the castle. Her opponent, Mino, the captain of the knights, calmly tries to explain that mages relay the will of God. He reminds her they're here to bless her future, as she's next in line to be empress. Like hell, Ophelia shouts, clearly not buying it. She rants that mages are just humans with parlor tricks acting way too high and mighty. According to her, mages are the absolute worst. But Mino effortlessly disarms her, sending her sword clattering away. He scolds her for crude language and lack of focus, then declares this his 4,785th win. When she demands a rematch, he calls it a day, reminding her of her upcoming birthday banquet. Athalia yells that you can't just stop after you win. Mino just shrugs, asking why an imperial princess is so obsessed with sword fighting anyway. She snaps back that it's not obsession, it's faith. Her sword is the only thing she trusts, not some invisible god or magic. Mino tells her she's mistaken. He grabs her sword's blade, saying it's not the real weapon. He declares that once she becomes empress, he will be her sword, her personal protector. Athalia is left completely speechless. Bro just dropped the ultimate "I got you" line. Athalia's tone softens. She points out this will be the last time they can chat casually as childhood friends. He sadly accepts the change, saying, I am aware, Your Imperial Highness. As long as you know, she replies, turning her back to walk away. He tells her to look forward to her birthday present, claiming he's prepared something she'll absolutely love. He calls it the last gift he'll give her as her childhood friend. The wording is sweet, but the vibes are suspicious. Athalia stops in her tracks. I'm not interested, she says flatly, without even looking back. She walks off, muttering, You don't even know what I like, leaving a clearly dejected Mino behind. That walk-off had main character heartbreak energy. Elsewhere, the Emperor of Tutalakan is interrupted by an attendant. The attendant announces that Kurth Edvar, a magician from Mobiante, has arrived. The Emperor greets him with a wide smile, honored that the #1 magician is here to visit. He's acting like a celebrity just pulled up. Edvar kneels politely, explaining that Tutalakan has been the mage's ally for generations, so his visit was only natural. The Emperor is pleased and tells him to rise, but admits he's a little hurt that Mojin didn't come herself. He muses about his daughter turning 19, disturbed by the weight of the throne she's about to bear. The Emperor places a comforting hand on Edvar's shoulder as Edvar tells him to understand why his master couldn't attend due to constant conflicts. Switching gears, the Emperor tells Edvar he's just in time for his daughter's birthday banquet. He calls it the last event he can enjoy as her father before her coronation. He invites the mage to enjoy the banquet, but Edvar's expression is anything but joyful. A weird expression etches on his serious face as he says, I cannot wait, uh-oh. Meanwhile, in her room, Princess Athalia is having an outfit crisis. You're kidding, right? I don't think I can do this. Her handmaiden Emma insists she looks pretty, but Athalia isn't buying it. She complains a fancy dress doesn't suit someone who's been riding horses since 6 and wielding a sword since 4. She's convinced that jerk Mino gave her the dress just to screw with her. Regardless, she declares, I will not step foot outside in that embarrassing outfit. She wants to wear her usual clothes, but Emma says it's too late. Athalia's solution? I just won't wear a dress then. Emma begs her to do it just this once, reminding her of the high officials and international celebrities attending. She can't show up looking like a guy. The pressure is giving red carpet panic. Athalia blushes, admitting that's true, but she buries her face in her hands. The real reason comes out. Seeing Mino dressed like that would be totally humiliating. Downstairs, the banquet is in full swing, with music playing and guests dancing. Nobles mingle and flirt, while the Emperor sits on his throne. Mino stands guard in full armor, looking grim. Outside, Edvar sits on a garden bench, soon joined by the winged sylphid Ru. He remarks it's quite peaceful for a nation that's been at war for centuries. Ru corrects him, not real wars, just suppressing rebellions. A lot of blood was shed to establish this nation. She admits she's not certain if what they're doing is right. Edvar turns to her. Are you afraid? I thought sylphids do not feel fear. How could I not be afraid? She replies. No one on this land doesn't fear the demon's resurrection. Edvar doesn't understand. He argues humans, not the demon, led their species to ruin. Mages saved them from extinction. Ro agrees, affirming her complete loyalty to the seraph Mojin for her grace. Edvar says the same goes for him. That's why he plans to bear the burden Mojin can't. He stares into the night sky, claiming saving the envious, ambitious human race was the great grand mage Rangdir Kiesel's only mistake. Edvar's resolve is absolute. Gathering Perseida's scattered seal stones is the only way to right the world's wrongs, he believes. Meanwhile, Princess Athalia stands ready for the banquet, her heart pounding. Anticipation or just nerves? She takes a deep breath, but Emma sees right through it, playfully teasing her about being nervous. Athalia gets flustered, stammering that of course she's not nervous. She warns, Mino, don't you dare tease me. With one last muttered threat, she stands before the grand doors as Emma opens them to the banquet hall. Cutting back to Edvar, a flash of a bloody hand appears as Ru's voice rings out, reminding him of his dark destiny. Edvar doesn't even flinch. He says, that is what I want. Bro is really committing to the villain arc. Back at the castle, the grand doors swing open, revealing a horrifying massacre. The entire banquet hall is littered with bodies. They stand frozen in shock, Emma covering her mouth in horror. Guards, their swords shattered, lie among the slain, and on the throne sits her father, the Emperor, brutally impaled. Yikes. Even Mino, the captain of the Royal Knights, lies dead and mutilated on the floor. Plot twist no one saw coming, right? As the horrifying truth sinks in, a storm begins to brew outside the castle walls. Meanwhile, The little girl in the scroll celebrates her 7th birthday. Alright, speaking of destruction, let's rewind. Long, long ago, 6 magical stones sealed away the demon of destruction. These bad boys were entrusted to some seriously powerful guardians. 3 went to the most powerful kingdoms, for safekeeping. The other 3, protected by 3 great sages, and the mage's apprentice. Plot twist, that's 4 guardians, but who's counting? But like all good things, that piece eventually shattered. Duh. History always repeats itself, right? Humanity just kind of forgot why they needed those stones in the first place. Great mage's sacrifice? Yeah, completely off the public's radar. Humans, being humans, went back to fighting, always wanting more, more, more. Greed, arrogance, laziness, pick your poison, they'd kill for any of it. Sure, the original demon was gone, but humans were busy birthing a whole new demon, fear, in everyone's hearts. Meanwhile, in a desolate wasteland, Hardin rides with a hooded Mojin. He's like, see? Told ya. Humans never change. He reminds her she's the one who changed, and that's why she made mages stay out of human wars. Hardin, ever the grim one, mutters, maybe Perseidus' wrath was just humanity getting what they deserved. Mojin cuts him off sharp. Don't even say that name, bro. Hardin quickly apologizes, but she's not having it. I didn't teach you magic for this nonsense. Then she pulls back her hood, revealing her face. But first, she dismounts, stepping onto dusty ground, staring at a ruined village. Yikes. Hardin asks what's up. Mojin just quietly observes the sheer destruction. She senses a deep hatred born from loss. Why is it still here even after everyone's dead? Suddenly her eyes dart. Movement in the shadows. Uh-oh. A figure screams, lunging from an alley with a sharpened stake. It's a young, blonde-haired Kurth Edvar, pure fury on his face, charging forward. He stabs Mojin. Hardin cries out in horror. Flashback time. This is Kurth Edvar, and his mom is hiding him under the floorboards. She begs him, don't make a sound, don't come out. No matter what. Her eyes are desperate and tearful. She asks if he understands. This is heartbreaking. That's his last memory of his mom before the floorboards creak shut, plunging him into darkness. Wars were everywhere. Outside, armed men with torches invade his village. Total chaos. Horror sweeps through the village. The boy hides, eyes shut, ears covered. Pure terror. Blames himself, prays, and curses time itself. The boy is just trembling, alone in the dark. After what felt like forever, the hatch creaks open. The boy crawls out, barely escaping that dark hole. He emerges into a world of pure desolation. Nothing but death here. Survival mode kicks in. Grim determination hardens his young face, but his focus shatters. His stomach growls. Intense starvation, my friend. His eyes frantically scan the ground. He spots something round, dirty. He chomps on one, desperate for any food. A rustle makes him freeze. 2 large, menacing crows. Before he can eat, he sees his mother's turquoise necklace in the dirt. Grief hits him like a truck. He looks up at the horrible truth. Corpses are everywhere, pecked by crows. His mother is among them. Brutal. The realization? A physical blow, stomping on his little heart. Shock drains his face. Tears roll down, crushing stuff. Naturally, endless hostility is born in his heart. This kid is getting an origin story, y'all. Blood drips from the stake young Edvar plunged into Mojin's stomach. Yikes. He hesitates, trembling. Is it regret? With a furious roar, Hardin as a beast slams the boy to the ground. Get him, champ. Beast pins screaming Edvar, but Mojin shouts, Hardin, stop that. Mojin calmly tells the beast to back off. He's just afraid. The mage, a respected seraph, looks at the kid who just stabbed her. She says, so understanding, he's having a nightmare. She kneels down to his level. No fear, no anger. Monstrous Hardin stands guard. Despite the wound, Mojin speaks gently. Calm down, she says, seeing the sorrow and rage in his eyes. In that moment, the boy sees his mother reflected in her kind eyes. Mojin pulls him into a hug, comforting his trembling form. Mother figure unlocked. She tells him death is just nature's rule. Nothing to be sad or angry about. Easy for her to say, right? Then she offers something. Forget fear, erase rage, and she'll teach him magic. Deal? And just like that, their relationship, born from pure sympathy, begins. Mojin, the boy, and transformed Hardin walk away from the ruins. Years later, the scene shifts. Princess Othelia is now bound by fleshy tendrils. An adult Edvar taunts her about despair. He tells her everything she loved is ash. She must be miserable. Othelia trembles, tears streaming down her face. That's not cooking. That's arson with words. He coldly encourages her. Cry. Be angry. That's why I kept you alive. Fueled by pure hatred, Othelia glares back, bloodshot eyes blazing. I will never forgive you, even after I die. Edvar picks up a crown. Good, he says, placing it on her head. I need your intense, hostile, raw rage. He cups her face, dramatically declaring her the new Empress of Tutalakan. Talk about a forced promotion. He forces her head up, revealing his true motive. The malice in your heart will awake the demon's head. Oh, he's building a super weapon with her feelings. Meanwhile, in the scroll, things aren't doing so well either, as the little family is dealt a tremendous loss. So, about that malice in his heart, turns out it has roots. We flash back to a young Edvar pleading at a humble grave. Tears streaming, he begs Mojin to bring his mother back, even offering his own life in exchange. Desperate much, he collapses, sobbing. Pure, raw grief. Mojin, ever the calm one, explains life and death are a divine flow. Fate, basically. Messing with fate? That's a huge no-go, she says. Way worse than just some healing magic. She understands his pain, but duty calls, kid. Can't let personal feelings warp fate, she says. Mage's gotta ditch emotions for a reason. But then Edvar hits her with a killer question. But isn't that what you did? Mojin's eyes nearly pop out. She's floored. Edvar's face turns into a literal horror show as he screams she'd already betrayed her magic for destruction. Thump. Mojin's eyes snap open. It's just a nightmare. She's in bed, clutching her chest, her heart pounding like a drum solo. She bolts upright, panting, trying to shake off that bad juju. Alone in the dark, she lets out a long sigh, trying to calm her inner race car. Storm rages outside, lightning briefly flashing the room. Then it hits her. With a troubled gaze, she whispers the name that haunts her, Edvar. Meanwhile, over at sunrise, Count Chiako and his crew roll up to a desolate, smoking wasteland. Count's eyes glow ominous red. He's surveying a battle zone. His men find Jose unconscious in the dirt. Yikes. A medic checks him. He's barely alive. Good thing he's a tough therianthrope, a non-human animal. Soldier reports they burned the Gyugon's corpse and are taking its head to the palace per orders. Count Chiako orders his men to lock Jose in the dungeon. As they prep to move Jose, the medic marvels at his strength. Count Chiako holds up the shattered sword. The Gyugon couldn't have done this, he muses. This sword, it's special. It holds a map fragment to the demon's tail. No way a magical beast broke it. He gulps, sensing strange magic. What could have shattered this legendary blade? Looking at the massive crater, he feels it. Pure, unadulterated murderous intent. Uh-oh. Elsewhere, Hardin is giving a serious lecture. Murderous intent, he explains, is different from killing for survival. He sighs. Not a lesson he ever wanted to teach. A nervous voice interrupts. Gramps? It's Moshart, transformed into a fluffy flying creature. She apologetically points out Rangi passed out ages ago. Rangi has been out cold since they fled the village. Big oof. Hardin isn't surprised. Rangi probably used all his energy starving. Moshart agrees, she's in the same boat. Transformation only lasts 30 minutes, she says. High-level magic is tiring. Hardin tells her to chill. He asks her to land by a cliff. She agrees, swooping down. They land by a river. Exhausted, Moshart immediately chugs water. Pure bliss. She offers purified water to Hardin. Good for energy, she says. Hardin thanks her, feeling bad he was chased as a thief and she's been a massive help. Moshart waves it off. She wasn't planning on sticking around anyway. Rangi snores away. His saliva is working overtime as a side character. Meanwhile, Moshart adds, they helped her too, you know? Then boom, here comes a bombshell. I actually did steal. She holds up the very satchel Hardin was accused of taking. He does a classic spit take. Hardin stares, utterly stunned. So it was you. You stole the satchel. She giggles, I just borrowed it. Just for her skill-honing transformation trip. Perfect for catching and communing with a Gyugon, she figured. Communing with magical creatures is key, she explains. Hardin just thinks, wow, this girl talks a lot. Hardin asks why she needs more training. She's already skilled. Her answer? She wants to be a magician. Her people, the Iriga, are transformation masters, but none have become magicians or magic agents. She declares her goal is to crash the prejudice against refugees. You go, girl. Suddenly, Hardin cannonballs into the river, startling our girl Moshart. Was that so upsetting you hopped away? She asks, completely missing the point. But Hardin resurfaces. He's now a massive, four-legged dolken, with a fish in his mouth. He tells a stunned Moshart that Rangi is a big eater, so the boy needs food when he wakes. Moshart is shook. How are you a dolken? They're extinct. Moshart is in full disbelief mode. Hardin scoffs. Extinct? I'm old, but very much alive. Then he casually drops. He was a Seraph's familiar. It clicks. He didn't transform into a dolken. He is one. Hardin asks if it's really that shocking. Yes, Gramps, it is. She stammers, piecing it together. A Seraph's familiar. A dolkan. Finally, she screams, are you the legendary Hardin? The way she said that, you know she's shook. This girl's ecstatic. The legendary Hardin. Hardin himself just flinches, clearly not loving the hero worship. Hardin, in full beast mode, lets out a menacing growl. This ain't good. Dashes past a startled Moshart. What's wrong? Was I not supposed to know that? She yells. Hardin halts, warning her to stay back. His senses are on fire. I sense a murderous spirit, he growls. Murderous spirit detected. Yikes with a capital Y. Mochart is utterly baffled, sweating nervously. Arden's warning proves true. 4 cloaked figures appear in the distance, heading their way. Up close, this mysterious group is a strange and formidable party. Looks like trouble's brewing. A quick peek at the scroll reveals the dad and the little girl visiting her mother's grave. Man, that is so sad. That's a wrap on this recap. Hit that subscribe button to help us keep pumping out awesome content. Catch you in the next one.